Kevin Stefanski's time in Cleveland didn't fail because of talent. It failed because the system didn't evolve with it. Now, with names like John Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel floating as potential replacements, it's clear the Browns are planning a full reset, not just of playbooks but of identity. Harbaugh brings immediate credibility and a reputation for player accountability. McDaniel injects a progressive offensive vision tailored to dynamic quarterbacks like SHEDEUR Sanders. And by retaining Jim Schwartz, the Browns preserve defensive dominance, a rare strength that's gone underutilized.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The goal isn't just to fix mistakes, it's to design a franchise from the inside out, starting with culture. This isn't about hype, it's about infrastructure. Cleveland is trading improvisation for intentionality. With a coaching triad focused on leadership, offense, and defense, Sanders walks into a system designed to support his learning curve at every level. If executed, this could be the most sophisticated development model the franchise has ever attempted, and maybe the one that finally works. The Cleveland Browns aren't just tweaking their staff, they're reportedly detonating the entire coaching blueprint in hopes of rebuilding it around one name, SHEDEUR Sanders. Insider reports are pointing to a dream scenario that's somehow both wild and methodical. The front office isn't scrambling anymore, they're scheming. And the scheme? Build a coaching fortress so tailored, so meticulously structured, that SHEDEUR doesn't just survive in Cleveland, he thrives. This isn't just about grooming a rookie quarterback. This is about transforming SHEDEUR Sanders into the Browns' first real franchise quarterback in decades, using a strategic trio of proven minds. The plan being whispered in NFL media circles is this: bring in John Harbaugh to lead, Mike McDaniel to build the offense, and Jim Schwartz to lock down the defense. It sounds unreal, but this is what the Browns are reportedly chasing, with intention. John Harbaugh's name at the top of that list isn't random. It's calculated. He's a Super Bowl-winning coach, someone who understands how to lead a locker room through chaos without losing the culture. His coaching roots and special teams have always given him a unique view of accountability. He's not an offensive savant or a defensive schemer, he's a leader. That's what Cleveland needs. Under Stefanski, the Browns lacked that centralized leadership voice. Now they want a tone setter. Harbaugh brings the discipline and structure needed to shape an identity around a young QB. His past success isn't just about winning games, it's about creating a standard, and insiders believe that standard could stabilize everything around SHEDEUR. But stability alone won't unlock a quarterback's potential. Enter Mike McDaniel. His offensive reputation isn't hype, it's earned. Rooted in the Shanahan system, his scheme is built on motion, play action, and creating space for playmakers to shine. For a QB like SHEDEUR Sanders, whose game blends pocket presence with athleticism, that system is a perfect fit. McDaniel turned Tua Tagovailoa into a legitimate starter by tailoring schemes to his strengths. It wasn't about forcing players into a rigid system, it was adapting the system to the talent. And that's what Cleveland wants for Sanders. McDaniel isn't some theoretical hire. The Browns reportedly see his offensive mind as the key to unlocking Sanders' arm talent without burying him under unrealistic expectations. Then there's Jim Schwartz. He's not new to the building. And that's exactly why the Browns want him to stay. Schwartz has helped shape Cleveland's defense into one of the league's most reliable units. With so much focus on building the offense around Sanders, maintaining defensive consistency is crucial. The idea is simple: give SHEDEUR time to develop by keeping the pressure off him. Schwartz's defense acts as a safety net. A bad rookie game doesn't have to doom the team. That cushion matters. Development is fragile. And if SHEDEUR's learning curve gets too steep, a strong defense can carry the load while he catches up. This entire plan stands in direct contrast to what the Browns had under Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski's tenure had its moments, but when it came to quarterback development, the results just didn't stick. The offense never had a clear identity, accountability was inconsistent, and the overall leadership lacked staying power. What's being quietly said now is that the Browns aren't just moving on, they're course-correcting. Stefanski was often both head coach and de facto play caller, but that dual role didn't work. The proposed coaching structure splits duties cleanly. Harbaugh handles leadership, McDaniel builds the offense, and Schwartz keeps the defense elite. That separation is intentional. Cleveland's recent seasons tell the story. Offensively inconsistent, flashes of defensive dominance, and always missing that one stabilizing force under center. The Browns had matchups where the defense dominated, but the offense sputtered and wasted opportunities. The front office knows this can't continue. That's why this coaching rebuild is so bold. They're not trying to win press conferences, they're trying to construct a team that wins through structure. If the pieces fall into place, Sanders won't be dragged down by organizational confusion. He'll be supported by a clear, well-defined infrastructure designed specifically for his growth. The contrast between how the organization handled Stefanski's system and what they're planning for SHEDEUR is sharp. Under Stefanski there was no real quarterback grooming. Players were slotted into a system instead of the system evolving with the player. It was one size fits all and it didn't work. This time it's different. Everything is built around SHEDEUR. His strengths, his tendencies, his timeline. They're not rushing him. The team is reportedly focused on creating a nurturing but high-expectation environment. That's where Harbaugh's discipline, McDaniel's creativity, and Schwartz's consistency come in. This isn't just a pivot, it's a full reset. Practices under this structure would look completely different from what Cleveland's been doing. With Harbaugh setting the tone, you'd have organized, focused sessions with accountability at every level. McDaniel would be installing a scheme that maximizes rhythm, giving SHEDEUR quick reads and clean pockets. Schwartz would handle the other side of the ball, making sure the defense is applying pressure, both in games and in practice reps. For Sanders, it's a perfect ecosystem. He can take risks, make mistakes, and learn, without the franchise panicking over every interception. The pressure to be the guy is still there, but now it's met with support instead of chaos. That kind of developmental runway is rare in the NFL. Fit is so ideal that it almost seems like this was the plan from the start. His understanding of how to use motion, spacing, and mismatches directly complements what SHEDEUR does best. He doesn't just run plays, he designs experiences for quarterbacks. When Tua succeeded under McDaniel, it wasn't because Tua suddenly became elite. It was because the scheme protected his weaknesses and amplified his strengths. That's the same formula the Browns want with Sanders. And McDaniel has already proven he knows how to do it. Bringing in Harbaugh also sends a signal. The Browns are done experimenting. They're not chasing the next hotshot coordinator or taking chances on unproven ideas. They want a coach who commands respect, keeps order, and doesn't blink when things get messy. Harbaugh has handled Super Bowl runs, roster turnover, and media firestorms. In Cleveland, he wouldn't need to reinvent anything. He'd just need to guide a young team with a talented quarterback through the noise. And right now, that's exactly what the franchise needs. And while Harbaugh and McDaniel make headlines, Jim Schwartz staying put is just as strategic. The Browns aren't overhauling everything, they're preserving what already works. Schwartz's defense has become one of the few stable forces in recent years. It's aggressive, disciplined, and punishing, and it gives the team a fighting chance no matter what happens on offense. Insiders know this defense isn't just a bonus, it's the foundation. Schwartz gives Cleveland a defense that allows Sanders room to breathe. He won't need to throw 45 passes a game to keep the Browns alive. He can focus on developing rhythm, confidence, and decision-making. And the coaching staff around him will keep the expectations calibrated to reality, not desperation. This coaching overhaul also exposes the flaws that define Stefanski's regime. His approach may have worked with a veteran roster, but with a young quarterback? It lacked adaptability. Stefanski never had a clear plan for building a QB from the ground up. His offense felt scripted, and when the first read wasn't there, the plan often collapsed. Cleveland media had grown skeptical of Stefanski's ability to lead long-term. There was a sense that the offense couldn't evolve, that it was too rigid. And with a talent like SHEDEUR Sanders now in the building, the Browns couldn't afford another era of coaching by template. The next step had to be calculated, and bold. That's what makes this plan feel so different. Every coaching decision reportedly revolves around one objective: making SHEDEUR Sanders the centerpiece. Not just in name, but in actual strategy. The hires aren't about reputation, they're about compatibility. The Browns are trying to craft a quarterback-first culture, one that teaches instead of demands, supports instead of blames. And the stakes? They're sky-high. This isn't just a developmental project. If this works, SHEDEUR becomes the first Browns quarterback in a generation to actually fulfill that franchise label. And with this coaching trio backing him, he wouldn't have to carry the team alone. He could grow within a structure that's already built to succeed. Is central to that vision. His ability to script open plays early in games gives young quarterbacks momentum. He knows how to build rhythm, how to turn short throws into big plays, and how to read a defense before it even reacts. That's the kind of guidance Sanders needs. He's not just calling plays, he's curating a learning environment. One that challenges SHEDEUR but also protects him. And when your offensive coordinator understands how to teach as well as scheme, that's the sweet spot. It's why McDaniel's presence in this rumored staff isn't a luxury, it's an. Cleveland's past proves just how rare that balance is. They've cycled through QBs like it's a seasonal clearance rack. And in most of those cases, it wasn't the talent that failed, it was the infrastructure. Quarterbacks were thrown into chaos, buried under shaky leadership and inconsistent play calling. The Browns want to end that cycle. And this coaching structure shows they've learned from history. Instead of repeating the same failed experiment, they're taking a precision approach. Defined roles, clear expectations, specialized leadership. It's not flashy, but it's functional. And that's what the franchise needs most. With Harbaugh at the top, the locker room dynamic shifts immediately. His presence alone raises the floor. Veterans know what he brings: accountability, structure, and experience. For a young player like SHEDEUR, that matters more than any playbook. You can't coach confidence, but you can create an environment where it grows naturally. And Harbaugh knows how to do that. He's been in tough situations before. He's managed star personalities, handled high-pressure playoff runs, and kept teams focused through adversity. If Cleveland lands him, they get more than a coach, they get credibility. And for a team trying to rebuild its identity, that's everything. It also sets the tone for practices. These wouldn't be casual reps. They'd be high-expectation, structured sessions where SHEDEUR learns fast, fails forward, and gets coached with intention. That's the difference between growth and regression. SHEDEUR's talent has never been in question. It's about sharpening it, giving him a consistent voice in his ear, letting him fail without fallout, letting him compete without chaos. That's the goal. And this staff, as reported, is being assembled specifically to provide that kind of space. The difference in tone between the Stefanski era and this new direction couldn't be more obvious. Where Stefanski's staff felt like an uneven mix of voices, this rumored trio feels surgical. No role overlap, no guessing, just execution. And that matters for Sanders. Under Stefanski, he'd likely be stuck adjusting to the system. Under Harbaugh and McDaniel, the system adjusts to him. That shift, from player fitting into the scheme to the scheme molding around the player, is everything. And it's long overdue in Cleveland. The Stefanski playbook was built for control, not creativity. It ran through analytics and structure, which is fine for a veteran, but not for a developmental quarterback who needs tailored instruction. In hindsight, Stefanski's tenure wasn't built to nurture a talent like Sanders. This isn't just about new voices, it's about the right voices. Coaches who've shown they can lead, adapt, and win. And now, the Browns are finally showing they understand what quarterback development actually requires. The shift in philosophy is clear, and it's deliberate. At the center of it all, SHEDEUR Sanders has the most to gain, and the most to prove. This plan isn't just about surrounding him with experience. It's about setting up a system where his ceiling isn't theoretical anymore. That's what makes this approach feel like more than just a coaching shuffle. It's a true organizational pivot. By keeping Schwartz in place, the Browns are anchoring the present while preparing for the future. It's not about scrapping everything. It's about curating the right elements. And Schwartz's defense has already proven itself. There's no mystery with Schwartz. He builds defenses that punish. He simplifies reads for his players, creates pressure with his fronts, and doesn't overcomplicate the game. That clarity on defense balances the creative chaos McDaniel might bring to the offense. You've got contrast but not conflict. It's cohesion. For SHEDEUR Sanders, that balance is everything. He's not being thrown into the deep end like so many Browns quarterbacks before him. He's being placed into a structure that has been designed for him. That's a rarity in the NFL, and it could change the arc of his career before it even fully starts. This isn't about babying a young QB. It's about creating a clear path to success, letting him learn how to win the right way. With McDaniel calling the plays, Harbaugh managing the culture, and Schwartz locking down opponents, SHEDEUR gets something most young quarterbacks never see in Cleveland: stability. And when you look at Cleveland's recent history, that's the one thing they've lacked. Every season seems to start with hype and end in confusion. One week they blow out a playoff team. The next they forget how to score. The defense bails out the offense or vice versa, but rarely do both click. What's being reported now signals a shift away from that dysfunction. The Browns don't want to keep plugging holes. They want to build a foundation. They want a coaching trio that not only understands their role, but thrives within it. And that's what makes this dream scenario more than just fantasy. Strategic. offense in particular, offers something Cleveland's never fully committed to: schematic identity. A plan that doesn't just react to the opponent but forces them to adjust. His offenses stretch defenses horizontally, manipulate with motion, and make even average receivers look like stars with timing and spacing. Give McDaniel a quarterback with SHEDEUR's traits: pocket awareness, mobility, anticipation, and the possibilities expand fast. Add in Cleveland's existing playmakers, and suddenly you're looking at an offense that can dictate terms, not just respond. McDaniel knows how to craft that vision. He's done it before. But all of that creativity needs structure. That's where Harbaugh comes in. He's not trying to reinvent anything, he's just bringing order. Cleveland's locker room has been through enough volatility. A leader like Harbaugh brings instant authority. Players listen. Expectations are clear. And with SHEDEUR coming in as the presumed future face of the franchise, that kind of leadership is critical. Harbaugh's not going to play politics with depth charts. He's going to set the tone, demand accountability, and insulate Sanders from the distractions that derail so many young QBs. That insulation was sorely missing during Stefanski's tenure. Under his leadership, the quarterback room felt like a revolving door. There wasn't a long-term plan. And when things started going sideways, there wasn't enough in place to pull it back. Stefanski wasn't a disaster, but he wasn't equipped for this new chapter. Developing a quarterback like SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just about reps. It's about managing pressure, guiding through setbacks, and adjusting in real time. Stefanski's system was static. The Browns want something dynamic. And that's why the contrast is so glaring. Under Stefanski, SHEDEUR would have been forced into a scheme. Under this rumored trio, the scheme wraps around SHEDEUR. Everything about this plan, from coaching hires to culture resets, is focused on adaptation. The Browns aren't just building a better system. They're building a smarter one. One where coaches aren't doubling up responsibilities or stepping on each other's toes. They each have their domain, and SHEDEUR sits at the center with the benefit of that clarity. Sanders, practicing. That clarity trickles into practice too. Under Harbaugh, practices will run tight. Under McDaniel, every rep will have purpose. And Schwartz's defense won't be taking it easy, they'll be testing Sanders with complex looks and real pressure. It's the ideal learning environment. High accountability, low chaos. Sanders can grow without fear of getting benched after one bad throw. And when he shows flashes of brilliance, he'll have coaches around him who know exactly how to build on it. That kind of continuity is rare, and the Browns know it. So keeping Schwartz isn't just about defense, it's about development. His unit can keep games competitive, which buys time. Time for McDaniel's offense to evolve. Time for Sanders to process defenses at NFL speed. And time for the locker room to align behind its new identity. This isn't a splash move, it's a stability play. And when you're investing in a young quarterback, there's nothing more valuable. The media reports may label it as a dream scenario, but from a team-building perspective, it's incredibly grounded. Because at the heart of all this planning is one thing: belief. Belief that SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just talented, he's worth building around. Not reacting to. Not filling in for. But planning for. That kind of commitment changes everything. If this coaching structure comes together the way insiders say it could, the Browns aren't just hoping for a breakout season. They're building a blueprint. One that turns SHEDEUR into a star, and finally gives Cleveland a quarterback they can trust long-term. This moment for SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just about talent, it's about timing. Few quarterbacks, especially one stepping into a historically unstable franchise, get this kind of alignment. A team not only believing in your potential but willing to build its entire infrastructure around your success? That's a rare signal of trust. And that trust isn't just symbolic, it's operational. If the Browns pull this coaching strategy off, it will be one of the clearest acknowledgments that they are done with patchwork fixes. SHEDEUR becomes the axis. Everything else spins around him. That changes how plays are called, how practices are run, even how roster decisions are made. Compare that to where things stood under Stefanski. The quarterback position always felt like an afterthought. Insert player, run system, hope it works. That kind of plug-and-play mindset might work with a veteran who's already seen everything. But with a rising star like SHEDEUR, that rigidity becomes a weight. Stefanski had opportunities to show adaptability, but it never fully clicked. The offense looked methodical but lacked soul. When adversity hit, adjustments were minimal. And that left every young quarterback trying to survive, not develop. The results speak for game after game, season after season, it was the same roller coaster. Bursts of potential followed by letdowns. Defensive brilliance squandered by offensive confusion. Games that should have been winnable lost to penalties, clock mismanagement, or just plain lack of identity. That's the context SHEDEUR walks into. And that's why this coaching recalibration is so crucial. Without the right people around him, the cycle continues. With the right staff, the Browns finally break it. These aren't surface-level adjustments, they're foundational shifts. And at the center of that foundation is someone like John Harbaugh. His name isn't trending because it's flashy, it's trending because it makes sense. Harbaugh is the type of leader who can bring cohesion to a locker room that's seen too many resets. He doesn't need time to figure out how to be a head coach, he's been through the fire. There's confidence that if Harbaugh walks into that building, expectations shift immediately. Not because he demands respect, but because he's earned it. That's the kind of presence that gives SHEDEUR room to grow without worrying about politics, finger-pointing, or shifting narratives. It also changes what development looks like. You're not talking about just throwing reps at SHEDEUR and hoping he gets better. You're talking about intentional, layered progress. Situational drills that match real games. Film sessions where the feedback isn't vague, it's actionable. Coaches that don't just correct mistakes, they teach the reason behind them. That's what turns a good quarterback into a great one. And that's what this reported coaching plan is aiming to do. No more sink or swim. It's about building a swimmer and teaching him the tides. Cleveland hasn't had that. But it looks like they're finally going for it. And the final piece of that puzzle, McDaniel, brings the creative spark to an offense that's been stuck in neutral for years. With his understanding of timing, angles, and matchups, SHEDEUR wouldn't just be learning how to manage an offense, he'd be learning how to manipulate defenses. McDaniel teaches quarterbacks how to own the game, not just survive it. That kind of mentorship, paired with the structure Harbaugh provides and the reliability Schwartz brings, creates a complete environment. For once, Cleveland might actually be building something sustainable. If you've followed the Browns for years, you know how rare that sentence is. And if this plan unfolds the way insiders say it might, don't blink. This could be the moment everything changes. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's the most important hire in this trio? Are the Browns finally turning the page, or is this just another hype cycle? And if you're ready to follow every twist, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. The story's just getting started.